Thank you for joining us for News Nation Live. I'm Marni Hughes in Chicago. I want to begin this hour with the desperate efforts to rescue hundreds of people who are still trapped in their homes after a series of storms clobbered California. There are so many people under evacuation orders right now, tens of thousands statewide. And for those who chose to stay in their home this morning, many are either facing a wall of snow or washed out roads, and there is widespread flooding and mudslides adding to the concern. In San Clemente, California, authorities there are closely monitoring hillside homes, just like this one, teetering on the side of a cliff. You can see below some of the ground has already crumbled away. Right now, there are more than 50,000 customers who don't have power, and that is some progress. At one point, 100,000 who were in the dark overnight. The unrelentless rain did bring some reprieve for the 7 million people who were under mandatory water restrictions. That was mostly in Southern California, but the damage is widespread, and so is the concern this morning. Let's bring in News Nation's Alex Capriello. He is joining us live from one of those storm-soaked regions across the state. Alex, tell us what you have seen over the last 24 hours.
Marni, good morning to you. Yeah, it's been really tremendous rain over the past few weeks. It really feels like it won't ever really give up. But there is good news, as you just mentioned. The Metropolitan Water District here in Los Angeles has lifted those emergency water restrictions for homeowners all across Southern California. That's, of course, all thanks to that record rainfall that we've been getting. But as the past has shown us, even during the wettest seasons out there, it's often still not enough. As we've seen, California really been soaking since late December. Yesterday's atmospheric river was the 11th since then. The rainfall alone is twice the average amount for this point in the year. And even still, authorities are warning Southern California is still under a water alert, meaning there's still just not enough water to go around for everyone. That's left many people frustrated that leaders, and particularly the governor, they haven't built more water storage facilities. Back in 2014, voters approved nearly $8 billion to fund these new water projects, a large portion of it to build water stockpile facilities. But now, nearly 10 years later, none of those 7 proposed projects have been built. There are a number of reasons why. Number one, the permitting process is lined with red tape, which takes months and sometimes years to get approval. Number two, local and state authorities are often at odds over the best practices in implementation. And number three, there are environmental restrictions to hurdle. California has some of the toughest in the nation. And even so, officials say they're working to find the additional money to get these projects done. Governor Newsom, back in August, pledged the state would make water storage a priority.
We can't do the same damn thing anymore. We're so deeply anxious because we've been consistently in the scarcity mindset, that it's about reduction and people feel like they've done enough. We've got to move away from that mindset because there's a lot more abundance out there if we're more creative in terms of how we approach things.
And Newsom has pledged another $8 billion to try to get these projects off the ground. And then he also pointed out to a $10 billion number that he says is available as part of President Biden's infrastructure plan.
Alex, you mentioned these water storage facilities. What exactly would they do?
Well, they actually serve a lot of purposes. Number one, they can be strategically released to provide water for drinking, of course, for irrigation, hydropower, for fish and wildlife conservation, but then also for recreation. And when you think about it, it's also really, really important because they can help prevent catastrophic flooding when record rainfall comes down for some of these low-lying towns, villages all across Southern California.
Yeah, the idea is use all this rain to their advantage. All right, Alex Capriello in California for us this morning. Alex, thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.